Welcome, man. Third edition of DevJam Diaries. We have Vladimir Stefanovic tonight with us, my good friend. How are you, man?
Hello, everyone. Fine. How are you?
Also good. 2021 end is approaching. It's Christmas period, jingle bells.
Yeah, but in a little bit different condition because everything is closed. We cannot spend time with families outside. We need to sit inside. So maybe that is good. Maybe that is bad. We
Yeah,
don't know.
I think we can answer afterwards because it's a universal situation that we didn't face. I'm not gonna say yet because I don't know history well.
Yeah,
You
of
move.
course.
You moved this year to Netherlands, right?
Yeah, I moved in April from Belgrade, from Serbia. My family joined me in mid-May. Then I was alone for 1 month during the summer holiday in Serbia, and final reunion was in mid-July, if I remember well. And then we spent some time on traveling, investigation, exploring area, so on, because summer, nice weather, everything is fine. And our school starts in the late August. Then our journey exactly starts. So that from that period, we have, let's say, some issues because adapting is right now really on the road. Before that period, everything was in tourist phase because every migrant, regarding of place in world where it need to be in 5 phases. And first phase of your migration is always happy tourist because everything is new for you, everything is shiny, everything is super, especially if you move from uh, to better country. And actually, in the second phase, adapting phase, when adapting starts, you will start getting some challenges for adapting to new environment, for schooling, for a job, maybe environment, new friends, old friends, and so on. So I cannot complain about anything. So everything is as planned.
That's good to hear. How do you experience this country so far in comparison to your previous settlement?
Basically, that is not comparable. I spoke, I think, a few months ago, 2 months ago, with my aunt, and tried to explain to her how we live here right now, how it is school for kids. Okay, my job more or less, I traveled a lot because my job was tightly related to traveling. Because I visited the United States for a lot of times for conferences, Microsoft conferences, and other European countries, and that was something normal for me, especially because I moved more than a few times in my life due to different circumstances. And we try to have some comparison between countries, so no pricing in restaurants and grocery stores and so on, uh, some kind of bureaucracy stuff. And we decided, okay, that is not comparable. So you can compare, for example, Netherlands and Germany or Netherlands and Norway, or you can compare Serbia versus Bulgaria, Hungary, Croatia, and similar countries. But you cannot compare
Very, very different
Serbia with,
regions.
yeah, you cannot compare with West European countries because they're in different operational model for decades. And something which is completely different is, for example, administration, how that works in comparison with Balkan countries. So in Balkan countries, we have some uh, FT1P because that doesn't mean nothing on English, but you always need one paper more if you want to apply for whatever you want. If you
Exactly.
want to buy new,
You're gonna wait in the queue, and after all of
and
that.
every time you will miss some piece of document, some paper, something like that. Right now, here that was completely different, and I can say when I was to pick up my resident card, everything was like charm, without issue. My family arrived, we completed the BSN procedure and everything around that, and at one day we have to pick up their resident cards. We arrived in Andy office, and something was strange. So queue is here, but officers inside, security officers, start discussing between each other. And I told my wife, okay, something is not okay. I don't know what, but something is not okay. After 10, 15 seconds, one officer came out and who is for health insurance, who is for residence cars, blah, 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 what is different queues, okay, and gave us number on paper written by hand. So no computer number, not reception office, and so on, and told us, sorry, our system is down. Okay. So you are also from Serbia, and if in Serbia, if system is down, you know what that exactly means. So you can come tomorrow or week after. We just arrived, entered to the IND office 5 minutes later because we were not first in row, and completed procedure in 3 minutes. Only difference between my collecting and their collecting resident cards was I need to provide to them a registration number. In my case, because everything was up and running, I didn't need to provide anything. And they put that on paper, gave us resident cards, we signed some papers, and that's it. And my wife told me, okay, their system is down. Yes, because of that was a little bit slower. How is fast if system is up and running? So that is the biggest difference, and also for me, how public transportation works. So
that's really like a charm. You don't need 3
yeah,
hours to cross 10 kilometers of the city.
yeah, definitely. So in Serbia, that is a little bit different. No, just public transportation in cities. Okay, more or less that works. Sometimes better, sometimes is not good. But trains between cities. So right now you can completely rely on trains. Okay, sometimes if there is big outage like we had here 3 or 4 months ago, everything will stop. But in general, that works. So you can visit whatever city you want very quickly, and train will be there in 15 minutes if you miss one, or maybe in 5 minutes, maybe in 30 minutes, depends on area you want to visit. That is expensive. That is one downside, but we use
I agree about that part. But at the end, you have trade-off of the money and very reliant transportation. On the other hand,
yeah, and that is really interesting. I will explain you what was on my mind, but there's one really interesting a subscription, weekend flight ticket in Netherlands. So for €31, you can travel from Friday 6:30 until Monday 4 a.m. whenever you want, how many times you want.
That's a good info.
€31 only. For instance, return ticket from Amsterdam to Rotterdam is €32. So if you want to visit Rotterdam only, it's completely worth to use monthly subscription. And especially kids up to 12 years are completely free of charge with kids fry ticket. So I use that one, my wife as well, and for the €62 monthly, every weekend we were in different city on Saturday and Sunday, every weekend. So we visited Rotterdam, Eindhoven, Haarlem, Almere, Alkmaar, Zaanstrecht a few times, Zaandam, Den Haag, Leiden, a lot of different cities. Some of cities twice or 3 times, depends on how cities were interesting for kids. But that is something that completely works like charm. And if you know how to use those kind of subscriptions, that is really interesting.
Yeah,
but
I think you cannot find out things as you're just in the first phase that you mentioned. Usually, then you still don't know about hidden gems.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm someone who like to investigating, exploring area. And the first 20-25 days when I came to this apartment, I spent only on exploring area. where I live, Amsterdam Oost, what cities are there, what parks, what can I find, where are the stores, grocery stores, because I live here. It's easiest way to take some kind of transportation or by walking to visit the city center, red light district, or whatever you want. That's okay. That will not gone. That is there. But you need to know area where you live. And then you can spend some time on investigating, okay, public transportation is pretty complicated to understand on the first ball in Netherlands because you have a lot of subscription. You have one OV card and different transportation companies. So I think that I spent 1 month to really understand public transportation in Amsterdam, how that works. What are the differences between subscription, anonymous or personalized card? Do we really need subscription? How works changing trains? What you need to pay? What is the starting price and what is the price per kilometer? It's completely different how that works.
What was the biggest change that was in your mind before moving to Netherlands, like a trigger point? Because I'm also talking with people who, let's say, not happiest with their current situation. I'm not gonna say they have excuse because that's only the argument for themselves. I'm very neutral while having conversations. But yeah, now I'm hearing you who, like, you're very eager, you were very eager to move and find better perspective, whatever. What was the real trigger for that?
Oh, I don't know who listening us, so I don't know what they can say.
That's exactly why I asked you the question, you know.
No, so basically the main trigger for me and my family was to find something better for kids, more perspectives, future, non-toxic environment for their growth. So that was my main trigger. For me, that was not complicated to move anywhere or stay in the same country. I'm not old, I'm not young, I'm 40 years old, so 39, but close to 40. But with my job, I can work and live very well everywhere in the world. So that is not a problem. I can, if I decide to move to United States tomorrow or New Zealand, I will definitely find a job in a couple of months. That really depends on how their governments work with people and immigration purpose, because that is really high demand on market, and that is not a problem. So that was some safe area before I started to looking for something. And my first choice was Canada. That was my first pick on draft during my investigation because based on paper, everything was super for me, and that was English speaking area. That was one main reason for myself. I wouldn't like to spend a lot of time on learning new language. But during Corona, that was so complicated to arrange interviews or something like that in Canada because that's completely different. I found I had a discussion with one guy owner with smaller consulting company, and he told me that is not a problem. I would like to hire you. I will complete all papers. I will pay for everything. I will give you a good salary, but right now that is super complicated, even though I want to pay. I'm still waiting 3 months right now for papers for another guy that I hired from another country. So I saw that will be pretty complicated. And I've decided, okay, maybe I need to do more investigation. What will be the backup option? And actually, you, Milos, Costa, our friends and colleagues from the same company are already here. And I had inside. And sometimes that is really important because paper is one, blogs, government pages, YouTube videos, everything is fine. But if you don't have anyone inside to give you the real situation from the field, maybe those kind of information are not so valuable. And
Yeah,
then I,
especially with for someone who has kids and a family, you know,
yeah,
as you
and
said, it's easy for you. You just go and
yeah,
you're
yeah,
gonna figure out stuff.
and especially my kids are 12 and 9, so that is not so easy to make a decision for a huge step and moving forward uh, because they're almost teenagers in complicated uh, ages for their grown and so on. And once I realized, okay, that maybe could be a good option. Let's do some investigation about Netherlands and found, okay, that is pretty similar uh, as Canada for my requirements. So everything is on paper, good for me. I had extensive discussion with my friends. Also, I involved my wife to discuss with their wives and girlfriends. Okay, and we found okay that the most probably that will be good choice, especially because we don't need to start with learning Dutch on day one, especially in Amsterdam. Even though we want to do that from January next year, so
It's
that's meaning
it's
two
it's
two weeks
quite
from
challenging.
now. Yeah, that's okay, but for integration,
Yeah,
that
of
is
course, of
more or
course.
less mandatory, especially if you have kids and kids will start discussing each other on Dutch in a couple of years.
Yeah,
So then
I did all
we will
Dutch
be in front.
exams. I passed them, but I think it's more of my exam skills than my Dutch skills, to be honest.
Yeah, we will see how that will be. And I did some investigation, found on market a lot of opportunities here, and it was, let's say, easy. I spent 4 months until I got offer and contract, and that was from September to January. So we can easily remove November and December because during those months nothing will happen, especially for migration. So I can say I completed procedure very easily, and hopefully procedure from the government side for highly skilled migrants is super easy here.
Yeah, very very easy. Once you are one of them.
And that was that that was my movement in short lines.
How is it actually for your kids? Because I assume someone who has family and kids, especially your friends, they would like to hear the podcast. Um, how your kids are figuring out the environment? Because after 10 plus years of living in one environment, you need to switch to completely new mindset language.
Basically, that really depends on personality.
Yeah, I agree
For
about
us
that.
as adults, for kids as well, because kids have their own personality. And for my younger, that is not complicated. That is easy. She is someone who want to be first in everything. Uh, want to compete with other kids, and for her is okay. For other older one is a little bit complicated because she started directly in secondary school in zero grade newcomers class, and learning of Dutch is completely different in secondary middle bar school is, in comparison to primary of basic school. So uh, we are struggling right now, especially with older one with learning Dutch because she's a little bit different. Her focus and concentration are not the best, and she lost the pace. And all other colleagues from her class are much better than
Yeah, and
she is, and
I can imagine. I mean, putting myself into a situation that I need to understand something properly, which is on another language. It's wow.
yeah, that's happening. But uh, another thing what's really important from April, so that's means September, 4 months from now, from the start of schooling, we had free extensive interviews in school with teachers, psychologists, additional. Uh, I don't know, is that some kind of institution or just agency like psychologists for kids? How we can help her. So that's not only on our side, how we as parents can help her. how school can help, and that agency will already did some observation of my older one to find what is the appropriate way of learning. So school invests some time, as I said, for extensive meetings in for 4 months in school. We didn't have 4 meetings in Serbia for 4 years.
Yeah,
In
for
primary
people
school,
who are planning to move, it's definitely good to know that this kind of care you get once you
definitely
arrive.
they will completely rearrange their work based on kids, and they will monitor them, they will track them for their progress. If someone is good on painting and is not good on math, maybe that will be different approach for learning, or completely different. And also that is not comparable. If you try to compare primary school in Serbia and in Netherlands, in Serbia is uh, more wider knowledge, more complicated sometimes. Right now, that is super easy in primary school. They will playing around, they will learn through the playings and so on. But in the end of the day, let's say end of secondary school, age 17, 18, 19, that really depends, they're on pretty same level. And at that moment, it's completely different because you can start working in McDonald's, in Burger King, wherever you want. You can continue your education. There are a lot of opportunities. You can go to university, and from that moment, I think I cannot agree. Uh, I cannot confirm 100% because my kids are still
Yeah,
young. It's completely different, and you have more opportunities. So maybe that is just my observation from this point of view. Maybe that is real situation, real world situation. I have no idea. But for now, that is okay. Yes, it's complicated, but all parties involved in education showing some interest to help kids, because everything is about kids, not about teachers, not about school, about kids.
that's very good to know. Yes, definitely. And how about yourself? I mean, obviously, you're a Microsoft MVP and you're coming from Serbia. You had very broad network there. You still have it, luckily. Um, how is it expanding here? Do you find like-minded people, etc.?
But definitely, for that kind of networking, time is needed. That will not happen overnight, even though I have a lot of Dutch colleagues who are assigned to P some cities, and I'm in contact with them from time when I was in Serbia. That is not so easy because you need to build new network more or less from scratch. So, okay, in Serbia, the most of IT, I know who am I because I'm Microsoft certified trainer, regional lead for Serbia for the last 2 years, and next 2 years, even though I'm here, I'm re-elected as regional lead. I'm Microsoft Azure MVP, only one Microsoft Azure MVP who works with a cloud solution provider and so on. And I was recognized. But right now, that is different situation. I need to spend some time to not convince them, to show them who am I. And I'm not someone who will walking around and bragging and saying, "Oh, I'm MVP, I'm MVP. Do you know who am I? I'm MVP." No. So over the some time, people will realize who I'm actually. And yesterday, I delivered in my company one presentation for team who will be transitioned from cloud to the cloud admins from on-prem. And I delivered one presentation that I delivered a few weeks ago on conference in Düsseldorf. And they told me, "Oh, you wrote a book." Yeah, I wrote 4 books, no book, 4 books. 3 books for Microsoft Server, for MCSA, MCC, and one for Azure. So I don't like to brag in myself. because after some time they will definitely realize who am I, and network will start growing. It's not easy. It's much easier if you have someone who is from that country, and that guy or girl can spread the word, but it's not something I'm worried about. That will come on the table sooner or later, definitely. Because the
What?
most important thing is
Yeah.
you don't. If you're honest, you're doing your job, and as always, as normal. Uh, if you're a normal person and your behavior is normal in all situations, in Serbia, in Netherlands, in Germany, in Antarctic, whatever, whenever you are, that will come sooner or later, and that's depend because you are someone who came here from abroad. So you can be Mark Rusinovic. If you arrive here, you're someone who came from abroad. You're not a local guy. But after some time, you will build network, but that will happen definitely.
Yeah, I agree. It takes a lot of time. Also, I remember when I arrived, I did not know anyone, but how you spread your fingers over the companies, it's easier. But I really like also that there are a lot of like-minded people, and looking at the future, more and more people from other countries are coming. That's something that you cannot maybe see in all European countries, that you have such a big mixture of people that you can work with. Like here, you join the company and they're like, 10 races.
Yeah,
What?
definitely.
Yeah,
That is something which is happening all around the world, and that's really depends on country how is easier to obtain some work visa
yeah,
and what requirements are for kids especially. So basically, if you have kids and kids need to be in school, the most probably they need to learn local language. Regardless of this, that Poland, Netherlands, Bulgaria, of or whatever, the most probably they need to learn local language or be in international school. Problem with international school is pricing. So if you have two kids and want to put them in international school, you'll be in Netherlands, you will pay at least 13 to 15,000 per year,
yeah.
at
That
least.
that's I think the price also if you want to study in Netherlands without having the European Union passport. I believe it's the same case.
Def, so my first idea was okay, my kids will be in international school because they don't know that language, pretty complicated to learn. They know English on some low level, but it will learn and we can invest in English. But during my preparation phase, I found okay, they have newcomers class. What's that mean? They will spend 1 year in newcomers class when they will learn local language, Dutch language, and that is completely free of charge. That is funded by government. Okay, so that's directly mean I will save 13 to 15,000 per year. So kids, you definitely
Is
need to
that
learn
sorry? Is that per
Dutch.
kid? 13, 15,000. I mean, is it per person the amount of money?
Uh, no, because you have two different approaches for international school. Full international school, like British international school, American international school, and similar, or international school, which is partly funded by government. So you will pay some amount of money. That, for example, was around 7K per year for secondary education and 5 to 6 at least for primary education. So in my case, that and only I think 4 or 5 school in Amsterdam, Almere, Haarlem area are for that price. So there are no uh, so many opportunities, but that is still 15K per year.
Yeah, that's it's a bunch of money. I mean, if you think straight, uh, people who are not working in IT sector are with it's even problem if you have really high salary. 15K is with a regular job, it's a lot of money. Yes, really big sum.
look at the end of the day, that is 15K.
Yeah,
It's
at the end of the day,
completely
yes.
regardless of what your salary is. If
Yeah,
your
exactly,
salary is
exactly.
if your salary is 55, 56, 58, what is the minimum for highly skilled migrant? If you need to pay 15K, so that means you will be with 40. Is that enough? The most probably no. Because if you have kids, you need to use 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. You need to
Yeah,
pay
we're
for
talking about
utilities.
the net amount, not brutto.
Yes, and the 15K is net amount.
Yes.
So if you have, for example, 95K, so that means you will be on 80. But that is enough. But 15K is 15K. That is 1,000 and few 200 or 300 euros per month. So enough money.
Yes. What are your plans for next year? What can you forecast for people that follow you, read your books, etc.?
That is basically this Corona time is like roller coaster, and you cannot plan anything. You can just be focused on specific short-term plans. You can have long-term plans, and maybe I'm not the good person to say you don't need to have plans because I moved in the middle of Corona. So I cannot complain for that one period of in this century, and I wouldn't like to plan anything special. Last night I discussed with my wife. Okay, I found that right now you can find new arrangements for summer vacation. Now it's December, 21st December. You can find this moment. You can find a lot of arrangements in travel
One tip:
agencies.
there is a good app. It's called the Jack's Flight Club. The guy wrote a
Yeah,
software. You know it. Yeah,
I know.
very yeah, very cool thing.
Yeah. So I had some kind of money in one of Serbian travel agency because we paid some advance 2 years ago before Corona, and due to Corona we couldn't be there. And right now I think we have 500 euros net amount money in there. And okay, maybe we can use that money right now to reserve something, and we'll pay the rest during couple of next months. So no, I think that is not a good idea to plan something for 8 months in advance, because what will happen in eight months from now?
Well, you have two outcomes: either you're gonna do it, or you will have to replan, cancel everything, maybe not get full of your money back.
And also you can wait and use last minute offer.
Also, yes.
Just
Well,
keep your money in pocket and wait for the last minute, because one of my
quid pro
brothers,
quo.
yeah, one of my brothers did the same thing every year because he got in Serbia good salary. Keep money and wait for the real last minute offer. So he decided, okay, I will be on vacation from July 20 to August 10, and he waited and used the last minute offer for Spain, for Turkey, for whatever. So I wanted to do that also, and didn't watch on calendar very well. So I lost all opportunities because of the last week before school.
I can imagine that your calendar is so booked that you see only meetings sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. So right now is a little bit different because there are no so many conferences in person, and that will be bring back again during the 2022, definitely. And if everything is online, you can deliver some content whenever you are in the world.
Yeah,
But that
it's
doesn't mean
to an
anything.
extent easier because you don't need to travel, spend all the time commuting, etc.
Yeah, but it's much better if you need to be, if you are in person conference, you can discuss with people, you can
Yeah,
have new
absolutely.
friends, discuss with all. But it's more complicated to organize everything, especially if you need to travel, for example, like me to MCT Summit in Seattle. So only in flight I will spend 2 days. Not literally 2 days, but a lot of times. From Frankfurt to Seattle, that is 12 and a half hours.
Yeah, that's a
What
long
time
flight.
you need to spend on airports when you land in United States? You need to spend some
I
time in
hope you're
custom
one of
check.
the guys that can sleep in the plane.
That's super complicated for me because you know how I'm big. So if I don't use in advance at least premium economy class or specific seat, that will be super complicated. I learned that in hard way because one of my flights from Frankfurt to New York was completely without selected seat because I didn't know how I can buy seat for the United planes, and everything is reserved through the Lufthansa pages, and Lufthansa and United Airlines are partners. So this right now I know, but at that moment
Okay,
I
so you had
couldn't.
like intermediary booking through Lufthansa for the US.
No, they just have a code sharing,
Okay.
and basically they are partners. That is the same Star Alliance group. But if you book through the Lufthansa application and main operator is Lufthansa, that is super easy. You can do everything through the Lufthansa application or portal. But if you book your flight through the Lufthansa application and main operator is United Airlines, and you want to buy specific seat, you want to move yourself to business class, whatever you want, you need to do that through the United Airlines page and their portal, their system, with specific code share or something like that. I cannot remember right now, but that is stated on ticket. I didn't know that in that moment, and okay, I couldn't pay for seat. And what's happened? I got middle seat in the middle row.
You were close to the door at least.
No, middle seat in the middle of airplane, a middle row and middle seat in the middle row. On my left side was one guy. On my right side was other guy. In front of me, another row. So when I sit in my place and uh, lock my belt, guy who sits in my left side told me, "Okay, I'm really sorry because you're here. If you want to take out to do some walking through the plane, just ping me. Even though I'm sleeping, you can wake me up." And I wasn't lucky because, especially because plane was completely full. So there were no chains to change place to upgrade to any kind of other class directly to the plane because it was really full. So I spent 8 hours in the same position without sleeping. Uh, I think I didn't sleep any single minute. And after that flight, I told myself I need to pay for additional tickets, for premium economy, for specific seat every time.
And you
Even though
arrived
that
with
is
the jet lag, I guess.
jet lag was the minor problem.
After 8 hours.
Yeah, definitely. And that is sometime that was something complicated. Right now, it's not complicated because they are also traveling. Complicated to organize everything. I think my first flight to the United States was 6 hours after conference in Croatia. So I delivered presentation, wasn't speaker dinner until 9:10 p.m. Sit down in car, back from Zagreb to Belgrade by car. Day before my traveling to Croatia, I prepared everything. I packed my baggage, everything. So I had only 3 hours for taking a shower, recheck everything again, and take some nap 1 hour in sitting position. Otherwise, I will totally fall asleep.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
Once I'm down, that's it. Game over.
yeah, game over. And being playing for the United States. And from plus 10, I think that was February, but not super cold. Plus 10, I landed to Denver on minus 25.
Denver is the worst place to land in February. Definitely, it's like plenty of snow there, 2 meters.
Uh, that was really, really fun. When we landed, that was completely dry. Everything was super dry. Okay, airport is always dry because planes need to land, need to take off, and that is under control. But it was not snowy, and I selected one hotel on the route from the airport to the city center. I wanted to avoid a lot of public transportation, especially because that was my first time in the United States. And I visited Denver only to watch games, Denver Nuggets, San Antonio, because my
Nice.
final destination was Seattle. And I decided, okay, in Seattle, there is no NBA games. I cannot watch anything. There is no Super Bowl is ended, so there is no American football games. There is no rugby. There is only American soccer, which is not super interested, super exciting for me. So I decided, okay, I will be 2 days before in Denver. I will watch the Nikola Jokic and Denver Nuggets San Antonio game, and then I will move day after to Seattle on MCT Summit and have some fun in Seattle. Then I will be in New York, and everything is super planned. And in the first 2 or 3 stops in metro station was completely dry. On the fourth station was like someone pressed the button. Now is snowy. You cannot imagine how quickly it was, I think 10, 15, 20 centimeters of snow. I had only 5, 6, 7 minutes from metro station to hotel. I was like a snowman.
I
For
have
that
also
7.
one good friend in Denver. He has a husky dog. I think that was the best choice for Denver. And also, like he
Definitely.
sends, yeah, he sends me the video. Once, like it, as you say, it's completely dry. 10 minutes later, you can take your snowboard and just surf down the
Yeah,
mountain.
and the most interesting thing, I forgot my cap in Belgrade. So I was in Denver on minus 20 without cap. So I spent a few hours tomorrow because I landed in 2, 3 p.m. until I completed the clearance on customs and so on. I was in hotel, I think 6. So I decided, okay, I will not go to bed because that's the worst idea you can, and worst thing you can do to go to sleep before real sleeping time. So I found, okay, there is one really good American bar because Denver, Colorado is, let's say that's America. New York is New York, LA is LA, Seattle is Seattle. But if you want
Yeah,
to
you,
visit New
you,
York, you
you,
need to
you
be
can
in,
drink a lot of good beers there, I guess.
yeah. And I found I definitely need to try their barbecue because I liked it. I need to try their barbecue and found that was named Famous Dave. So if you're anytime in Denver, you definitely need to visit Famous Dave.
Famous Dave,
And
guys.
that's what,
Good
uh,
barbecue.
yeah, Famous Dave. That was a sampler plate. I think you and me cannot eat all meat from sampler plate. And sampler plate was $16 only.
Dude, for that money in Amsterdam, you're gonna get like 100 grams portion.
So Famous Dave, I visited because that was super close to my hotel. I visited that one. So everything without cap. Tomorrow, I spent couple of hours to find cap to buy because everything I found in clothes the stores that was $50, $60, $100 for one winter cap. So I said no, I will not give you $100 for the winter cap. I need to find something cheaper because that is not made
Yeah,
from gold.
that's really a robbery.
Yeah, and I visited some shopping mall on the completely other side of Denver. So I spent $20 on public transportation, but I bought cap for $8.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable price.
Yeah,
you,
definitely. And
You don't
That
want to be
was
the tourist in phase one, buying for 100 euros.
yeah, that was 5 years ago, and still have that cap, and that is my favorite one because it's super comfortable to wear, and it's okay for winter. It's not you cannot survive in Siberia with that cap, but in Europe, European countries, that is okay.
I never been in Siberia. I don't think I'm gonna go yet. My good friends are currently in Iceland. There was like a northern lights last night. I got a photo of. Beautiful.
Yeah, that especially because I like to travel, but it's not super easy now. Not because of Corona, because kids, because they're you need to find something interesting for them. And if we visit Iceland, for example, what will be interesting for them? Most
Yeah.
probably, that will be complicated to find something interesting. There's in Iceland is one of my countries in a bucket list, and Turkey as well. So I got a lot of friends visiting Turkey and their culture, especially because I live in Pristina with a lot of Turkish guys, and that is similar to me, uh, similar experience, and especially to our region. We are
Yeah,
500
people with
years.
amazing hospitality. I can claim that.
Yeah. So yeah, Iceland is definitely on my list and will be visited in the future, definitely.
So we have a little bit more time. I wanted to ask you if you want to mention maybe some cool stuff that's happening on Azure, what people should pay attention to.
Oh, uh, basically, no one can give you answers for that question. This is a tricky question, especially because there were a lot of changes. I delivered one presentation that a couple of weeks ago, and it was a cloud survival guide for traditional IT admins. And in order to preparation, I conduct some survey to collect data. What was your scariest part before you're starting with transitioning? And what was the real challenge once you're moved to public cloud? Right now you're on the other side. What was the real challenge? And the majority of them said automation, lack of coding skills.
Yep, I can imagine that.
Yeah. And after a successful or more or less successful transition, that was downgraded from 40% to 25, and 25% of answer were innovation pace in cloud.
Yeah,
And that
that
is
really makes
something which
sense.
is, yeah, that is really complicated because if you want to start right now, you will learn something. And most probably, you cannot transform yourself in 2 months. That is super complicated.
Yeah, especially with
There,
the amount of services cloud provides.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And after 1 year, you learn, for example, how virtual machines works and what features are there. 1 year after, you can find a bunch of new features. And that is happening not for newbies in Azure, for experienced guy like you and me. So if you don't deploy through the portal's specific resource,
Yeah,
or you
for a
track
month, I guess you're gonna be
yeah,
back with a different view. Yeah.
especially if you have like me, for example, I have dozens and hundreds of ARM templates for deploying for specific environments, for testing, for production, for whatever. And sorry,
Yeah, no worries. Unfortunately, I cannot make you share your screen. I haven't prepared for that.
no,
And it's
it's
a
problem.
podcast.
No, it's problem because my phone is also connected to computer and Viber, and someone called me, and Viber starting ringing in my head, so I couldn't find how to stop that super easy. I don't
Okay,
know
okay.
if you were able to hear that, but yeah, the biggest problem for especially for new guys and experience as well in innovation pace, how quickly things are changing. For example, I had a lot of ARM templates for delivering something, and for a long time I didn't update anything because that's more or less okay for me. For specific deployment, we will create something new. And a couple of days ago, I wanted to deploy something and found a lot of new features in Portal. Okay, what is that? Right now, I need to sit down and use documentation and read what that does mean. What is that gateway load balancer? What is the, I don't know, uh, what is the, for example, Azure Virtual Desktop. Okay, more or less that is Windows Virtual Desktop, but name is changed. And you need to definitely need to cope with all of those changes. And there is no easy way to say for newbies how you need to start.
Yeah,
That really
definitely.
depends from.
There are some good resources like Architecture Center, Tech Community Center, where you can follow. But it's very hard, as you say.
Especially if you don't have someone who will lead you through the complete process of transformation. And I said, I delivered one presentation to the conference and to my colleagues as well, with specific area what you need to do and what you don't need to do during transformation. And sometimes I think you also are witness as me. Younger generation will start with public cloud, and they will start to work with containers and DevOps on day one. No, that is not a good approach, because you need to have some background. You need to have wider understanding of IT in general, how networking works, how security works, how virtualization works, compute. Then once you understand everything, maybe that is a longer way, but that is a better way. Then you can move yourself on, let's say, buzzwords and hot topics, hot resources, something which is interesting. Because if you don't know how virtual machine works, how you will work with containers
Yeah,
and
it's very
AKS?
true. No, I
How?
mean, we can be advocates now and tell that you can be application centric and go directly, strictly work with containers, deliver application. But once you face any minor, not even major problem, that's
Yeah,
a deal breaker then.
definitely. So that is not problem. You know how that works. You have a Docker in your machine. You have created one container, uploaded to any kind of container image repository, and you will spin up AKS or web app for containers, or you will spin up ACI, whatever. That works. Yeah, that's super. That's super cool. Okay, what will happen if client asks you, for example, you need to advise someone and ask you, okay, what are our options for ingress controller in AKS? And if you're not familiar with resources, you will say that will be Nginx because that's default. Yes, but why? Why you don't use application gateway as ingress controller? What is that? Oh, welcome.
Yeah,
What is
exactly.
that? So that is the main point. Everything is super fast, and people want to jump in running train, but don't have idea what they need to learn through that process.
One step at
And
a
they
time,
will
that's the best way.
definitely.
Start small.
Once you learn, once you learn how basic stuff works, IaaS, so virtual machines, networking, that's done. You learn it. If you are admin in on-prem side, who works with virtualization and so on, it will be much easier for you. You just need to learn specific things for Azure, sizing virtual machines, how storages work, what difference between this, limitations, blah blah blah. You can easily move on the next stage, next phase, and start work with AKS, app services, Azure SQL, Azure MySQL, to start using platform as a services. So that's important. You cannot skipping specific steps. You
Yeah, because
definitely
you
need to
don't
work with all.
understand how the core operates. For you, it's just then the bubble that works.
Yeah, and sometimes that is really, really complicated, especially for younger generation. Unfortunately, one of 100 will use the right way and sit down and learn everything what is needed. 99 of them will say, no problem, we will take this project and we will work with AKS and Terraform. I had one situation similar. Okay, right now you're accepted that project. You have idea how you will write Terraform plans. I watched some tutorials. Oh, you watch some tutorials. No problem. What is about AKS? The same thing. And you freely accepted big project with 50, 60, 70 nodes in AKN cluster. You're really brave, really brave. So that is the biggest problem that we are facing today.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, there are two sides. People do accept new in order to learn and get challenged, but then you have one other side which is actually, failing to deliver the expected outcome, which can, cost a lot yourself, the company, etc. So yeah, I definitely take your advice, and I can confirm it as also someone who has experience. Better take more time, but deliver
Yeah,
quality.
I have no problem to say I cannot do that. I have no idea how those things works, but I can sit down and learn that quick.
Yeah, that's more fair. That's more fair for both yourself and the one who asked for it. Definitely.
If you come to me and ask me, okay, we need to deliver in 2 weeks from now big AKS infrastructure, is that possible? I have no problem, even though I'm senior guy, I'm MVP, I have no problem saying, okay, I cannot do that in 2 weeks. If that is really important, maybe I can advise, recommend someone to you who can do that. I will do that rather than take a job, spend time, and don't deliver something that you really need, really want, because I have no idea how things work, or in 2 weeks, I cannot understand your application, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I
That
mean,
is really
it's like
important thing.
shooting in the dark, just saying yes.
Yeah. Right now, I have no problem to advise my ex-colleagues for whatever they want, because I understand how clients work, because I worked with those clients 7 years. But I cannot give you some advice if I don't understand your application. A couple of days ago, one colleague, friend from Bulgaria, called me to prepare some ARM templates for Marketplace, which is a little bit different than standard ARM templates. Actually, that is standard ARM templates, but with addition of UI definition. And okay, I deployed something, and during the process, and that guy thought that will be only a couple of hours, 2-3 hours of writing something. And once he explained me everything, what is main idea, I told him no, that will not be a couple of hours, because in a couple of hours we will have some workable solution, but we will not have final solution that need to be placed on Marketplace, because I have no idea what your application need to do. Maybe your design of application is not super good for Azure. Maybe we need to use different approach. And actually that happened. Over the some time, I found what is the expected outcome for application. And during the process, I delivered some templates, and in package with templates, I deliver recommendations. And right now, he called me yesterday and told me, okay, hopefully we had you on this project, and right now we moved from the dead point. Right now we are close to production in Marketplace. And you were right, that will not be a couple of hours. So
yeah, that's also something that I learned hard way after many years, that you need to ask why first and what is the goal. Yeah, and then if we compare to people who just want to take the lead and accept the job, they're just gonna say yes without actually checking up.
Yep.
Seniority level difference.
Basically, there is no clear difference today between admins and engineers, between engineers and architects and consultants, between seniority and pretty complicated to find out who is real senior today.
Yeah, I mean, you can put a title on your LinkedIn and you can be whatever you wish, more or less, for the public.
Especially if we talk about Azure, because in Azure, which is really big platform, you can be senior for specific area, but
exactly.
You're maybe not even junior for other part.
Yes.
So that is pretty complicated for someone to say, I'm a senior Azure expert. That is complicated, because maybe someone will find two resources that you don't understand how it works.
Countless number of resources, indeed.
Yeah.
Vlado, I wanted to thank you for being the guest. 2021 is approaching to the end, also our podcast. I wish you all the best in the next year. And yeah, it was really pleasant talking to you. Always having a good chat.
Yeah, thank you for calling me and inviting me. I hope that next year will be better and we can spend more time outside together.
Yeah, I hope to be doing the podcasts in person. So when there is episode 103, you're going to be the guest again. That's the idea.
So I need to wait 100 episodes.
I think we are going to move it fast. We are trying to be small, agile. So we did 3 episodes in like 1 month. I guess if we move fast, we're going to see each other anyway.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you again, and have a nice evening.
Yes, very